How's it going, everybody? I'm Kelvin Coley. I'm actually in industrial engineering, shadow majoring currently into economics. And back in high school, I was on the AV honor roll.
Okay. So, my question for you is, do you know what social tracking is?
I know a thing or two about it, and I saw a TED Talk video recently where he was talking about how from grade 4 that people are being tracked and monitored and through.
My name's Angie Otter. I'm a junior and I am a biochemistry major.
Okay. Do you know what social tracking is?
I'm actually not completely sure of what the term is.
My name is Patricia Green. I'm a senior biological sciences major.
Okay. Do you know what social tracking is?
I'm kind of in tune with it, but not entirely.
So, do you know what social tracking is?
I do not.
What's your name?
Allison.
And where do you work?
The elementary school.
Okay. What is social tracking?
To me, that would be tracking children from when they start school, through school, keeping up with them, knowing what's going on in their lives.
Go.
I'm Bella Page, and I go to Greenville Tech.
What is social tracking?
It is when different groups are set aside for different reasons, like in school.
And I'm a junior accounting major.
Okay. What is social tracking?
Social tracking. I feel like it's when you're kind of put into like a certain group when you're younger, and then you kind of have to follow in that group. I think.
John Cotton. I'm a junior psychology major. Tracking to me, when I grew up, wasn't really prominent in my life. I know I am African American descent. A lot of times people associate tracking with like African Americans, but I grew up going into like AP classes, kept a GPA all my life, went to a very prestigious high school.
Standardized test? Did you ever do PASS or anything like a state standardized test?
Yeah, for sure. I did probably like STAR testing in Sacramento, California.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I did. I had to. It was in elementary school. Standardized test was like 3rd grade. I don't even do that good on tests and stuff, but I score high on like standardized tests and stuff because they're just like logic stuff, you know? They're like easy stuff. It's like in-depth, easy stuff.
So after you went through that standardized testing, did you experience a change in the way you experienced your education? Did you notice that you were in different sorts of classes? You happened to be with the same people more often after that?
Wow, I never thought about that.
How did you experience being separated into groups based off of your academic success?
Honestly, I just really felt like I didn't really notice it too much because I just saw the same people every day for like, years.
Would you say, for example, how many people did you interact with that were in the lower tracks?
Not very many. The school that I went to, it was very like separated based on like hallways. You would have like kind of the honors hallway and then like the CP hallway. Yeah.
High school, we had teams. They said they were random,
But they weren't.
They were not.
But what was like the racial and socioeconomic composition of like your track?
I came from a prominently white school, so most everyone was white to begin with. But I would definitely say there was only 1 or 2 African American students in my track, and I would say the majority were upper class socioeconomic students.
Were there many other African American students?
Honestly, there wasn't that many, actually. They used to always call me the token black guy, which kind of seemed ridiculous. At the time, I hated it, but this is...
How many would you say actually ended up graduating from your high school?
Pretty sure that maybe at least a third of them didn't make it. Some people pregnancies, there was a lot of stuff going on. So.
And did most of those dropouts come from your class?
There weren't too many. No, not.
Nobody came from your AP.
I don't think anybody in my track didn't graduate.
Honor student.
Right, I was an honor student and I was an AP student. I would say that some of the benefits of it is that you're kind of put into an environment where you're expected to learn for yourself, and you're not influenced by other people that aren't there to learn.
Would you say that it can be a beneficial thing if you had the addition of mentors to a flexible tracking schedule?
Yes.
Okay.
So do you feel that the track that you were placed on in any way limited your ability to like adapt in certain situations and branch out in other ways?
Students, it didn't, just because I feel like I had a lot of say in the classes that I was taking. I feel that if I was on the other side where I wasn't initially placed in those classes, then it would have been a lot harder to make the transition to get into them as opposed to kind of going.
So, all right. So, in your opinion, would you say that tracking it propagates this achievement gap between students and?
I would say it definitely does. I personally come from like a middle to lower class family, so it's definitely harder to kind of keep up with the higher class students just because they kind of get that more attention from the teachers and whatnot, and they're kind of more involved with the school and everything.
People with lower socioeconomic statuses, they tend to like not teach them the same curriculum as people that are of higher income, and which makes them in turn think like, okay, like I'm not as smart as the kids that go to these schools, but they probably really are.
Yeah. I mean, I was a bit, like, out of place.
Yeah, I was put in a lot of math and science classes, and I was pressured from a really young age to head into the math and science field. I was more interested in music, but my parents and the teachers were like, you did so well in the math and science portions of this test. Why don't you go become an engineer? And I got here, I tried to be an engineer, and I hated it so bad. So I was completely derailed off of what I wanted to do and put into what they thought I would do best in.
Ultimately, social tracking is synonymous with ability grouping. Unfortunately, today it's less overt than it once was before No Child Left Behind, so it's more difficult to see the effects of and correct. However, it is seriously still impacting students' lives. For example, there were several students who may not have realized at the beginning of their interview what social tracking was, but upon prodding, started to realize the many ways in which grouping had affected them in their lives. For instance, there was one kid that I interviewed named Alec who just seemed so taken aback by the fact that he never even realized that he was put into a group based off ability that he was stuck with until he graduated. And ultimately, I picked up on a series of these themes. One, that people seem largely unaware of the fact that they're tracked based off of like their social expectations, based off of their race or socioeconomic status, or their academic ability based off of like testing such as pass or passed. I also asked many students about those standardized tests, which act as a sort of sorting hat for students. And many of them noticed that after those standardized tests, they experienced a difference in the way they experienced their education. It became more tailored towards what they seemed academically capable of. So you see, a lot of students that I interviewed were academically inclined because, you know, it's Clemson. There's a lot of kids here that did well in high school, really interested in learning, but they seemed to lack in other skills. Whereas students who were tracked in the lower tracks developed more life skills, but were less academically inclined. And not to mention that they were less prepared to perform critical thinking tasks and being creative in the real world as students who were prepared for that sort of thing. And ultimately we see a similar issue arise as what was happening with academic tracking before No Child Left Behind, and that is that people are stagnating in the expectations that are set for them. So when there's an expectation set, no one wants to rise above it. Unfortunately, this is one of the key problems that comes with social tracking, and that is the propagation of social class and propagation of this achievement gap.
I never thought about that.